So that one was pretty fun. I mean, there's a pretty decent chance that this series ends in 5 games, but we can at least say that for a stretch of time, it looked like it could have been a 2-2 series and potentially a bit different, but Lakers go up 3-1, and I want to start, honestly, with Anthony Davis's defense. LeBron was the best player in this game, and other things we can talk about, but AD defensively tonight was pretty devastating. Sometimes he was on Jimmy, sometimes he was protecting the basket. A lot of the times he was doing both in the same possession, whether it's stepping into a play to either cover a guy who's open for a brief second and then getting back to his guy, or sliding down into the paint to come out of nowhere to block somebody's shot. He had that play late against, who was it at the basket? I don't remember, but he also had a block on Duncan Robinson at the three-point line. He had a number of really impressive contests around the rim that didn't result in blocks. There was one play where he closed out on Olynyk well enough to where it forced Jimmy to throw the ball out of bounds. He really was just everywhere. I mean, when Miami was running the Bam handoff plays, AD found a way to be part of those while still getting back to Bam so they couldn't cover him. The Lakers were doing a little bit of trapping on ball handlers, and they were giving guys some open roles, but AD was able to just not allow easy buckets all the time. There was the one Tyler Hero fast break where, to be honest, AD's contest wasn't even that great, but just his presence alone freaked Hero out enough to where he threw up a layup that I would throw up in middle school or something. So, yeah, defensively, AD was awesome. And sure, were there times on offense where it looked like he was not destroying Miami? I mean, I guess so, but by the end of the game, he ended up with 22 points, and he had a couple of big second-half threes. He had the dagger, of course, and then there was also a drive and kick that he got from KCP. AD was just really, really great defensively tonight. Only had 2 fouls as well. I think he was a big reason why Bam didn't go nuts. I mean, Bam only had 1 assist, and some of that is just guys maybe missing a shot that Bam gets them or whatever, but part of it is also AD just finding a way to disrupt all the Bam two-man game stuff. LeBron was on Bam for a decent amount of possessions in the fourth quarter from what I remember, and he did a pretty good job. But to speak on AD more, when it's those Duncan Robinson or Tyler Hero handoff plays, which Miami was running a lot to the point where you could argue they were running a little bit too much at the end and not riding Jimmy enough. And AD's just good enough to where sometimes he'll just switch onto that, and you hope that the back end can deal with Bam, with which they did. But other times AD can just kind of disrupt that initial play and then stay on Bam, and it's not easy to do, but he's able to do it. KCP, of course, had some big shots. Rondo only had 1 basket, and it was one of the biggest ones. It was one of the few AD pick and rolls that Miami didn't trap or switch on. We talk about LeBron now. 28, 12, and 8. Great efficiency. Miami did freak him out a little bit in the first half. I mean, I know Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy were saying that Miami wasn't running zone anymore, but if it wasn't a zone, they were clearly not just doing a strict man-to-man, so I don't know what the hell you would call that other than a zone. But it did freak out the Lakers a little bit, and I think we saw with LeBron's turnovers, a couple entry passes that didn't go well, and Miami just making LeBron uncomfortable enough to where they just committed a couple extra turnovers or whatever. But in the second half, I think, number one, the Lakers kind of moved away from trying to get it to AD in the post, and it was a bit more of just LeBron kind of make something happen, whether it's attack a mismatch or split a double team or hit a couple of threes when they're stunting on the screen on you. And then there was a turnaround jumper on the baseline for LeBron. Then another play, he passed it off and then cut immediately to the basket. So just kind of found a way to do it against what Miami was giving them, you know? I mean, the AD LeBron pick and roll, while we would love to see it, the Heat are just not going to give him as an AD. They're not going to give him the role. Like, they're going to do anything besides playing those two conventionally. And LeBron found a way around it. I mean, the guy hit 3 jumpers tonight that if you're Miami, you have no choice but to say to yourself, I mean, LeBron made a few extra jumpers, and what else are we going to do, But still, Miami, they were really good on defense. The fronting of AD and putting Iguodala on him and just giving AD constant attention, I do think it definitely bothered him a bit, even if he still found his way to 22 points. In the case of Miami, besides the idea of Jimmy just being a little more aggressive, trying to attack mismatches more like he did in the previous game, even if we don't expect him to have 40 points again, the one thing you could look at that killed Miami would be Kendrick Nunn. 2 for 11. To be honest, I don't even remember a lot of his shots like that, but that's the obvious thing, is that him just doing a little too much. I guess the other thing to look at would be Bam playing 33 minutes. I don't know how his neck was feeling, and he also had 4 fouls. But in a game as big as this one, it does kind of hurt to look and see that Bam played 33 minutes as opposed to even 37 or 38, you know what I mean? Now, as far as Bam's actual game, I mentioned AD did a pretty good job of not allowing Bam to kill them too much. And, I mean, it seemed like Bam really went nuts when AD wasn't out there. I mean, I remember he forced I believe it was a 3-point play on Morris, and I believe there was another foul and an off-ball play, and AD could have been out there, I don't remember. But, I also think because the Lakers went with AD at center so much, Bam was not able to really roam around defensively like that. A lot of the time he was forced to just kind of stay glued to him, and I think that definitely benefited the Lakers. I mentioned earlier, Bam was defended by LeBron. Sometimes it seemed like kind of a lot by the fourth quarter, actually. And I don't remember Bam really killing LeBron other than that one offensive rebound. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do a preview for the next game. I end up saying that all the time. I mean, Bam will be playing the next game, so maybe I will. But if I don't end up doing that, then I guess I could do a little preview here. Can Miami replicate a performance like this again? Kinda. I mean, LeBron's threes came off of them stunting his screens. Well, one of them was a 3 over Bam that I remember now. So, I mean, if you're Miami, you can just kind of bait LeBron into taking more of those shots and hope for the best. You can keep doing your send as many bodies at AD and front him in the post and all that stuff as much as you want. Offensively, you can not play Kendrick Nunn or pull him a little faster. Is it possible to get another Kelly Olynyk game? I don't know. I mean, with Bam out there, I mean, Spoelstra, I think he proved in this game they're not going to go 2 bigs. Because this, with how good Olynyk was the last 2 games, this was the opportunity to keep him in there with Bam, and they decided not to do it. And given how poorly Nunn shot, maybe the right move would have been to just go with a 7-man rotation. I mean, I guess that's the obvious way for Miami to hope to force a Game 6 here, is you just play your starters and Iguodala a crap ton of minutes, and then you just hope that Olynyk can give you an all-right game, I guess. And that's a lot to ask for, but, I mean, that's the situation they're forced in, so yeah. But I also think this is one of those types of series of which the Lakers have had a few this postseason where it's like if the other team really had a chance, they would have had to win that game, and every single time the Lakers have won that game, and, well, all their series have ended in 5, so it seems like this one's going in the same direction, but I also expect Spoelstra and these Heat guys to play it out all the way to the end, so yeah, that's my take on Game 4, and that's it. One more game from LeBron's 4th ring, the Lakers' first ring in 10 years, and all that good stuff.